when Doge was being led by Elon Musk and he was sending his boys into all these different departments, there were big questions, of course, being asked about the data that Elon Musk was taking. And he was just basically taking anything and everything he could. And there were huge, real big questions raised about this. Of course, contracts that maybe competitors had with the government, he now had access to some of that stuff. Still big questions around that have not been answered. What actually happened to all this very sensitive government informational data that they had on those hard drives? What happened to that data? Do they still have it? Where is it being kept? Is it being kept on secure servers? All these questions have gone pretty much unanswered. And as a result, I believe there are still big suspicions that at some point that data is going to get leaked. It is, I think, inevitable. In fact, I believe there have already been data leaks of that Doge information. And now, of course, we now have the UK version of Doge, or Doggle, the local department of governmental efficiency, led by Zia Yusuf, and them trying to get all this very sensitive financial information the council has. Now, we are in a different situation compared to America. We have a lot more stricter data laws on this. So at the moment, the councils are very, very hesitant to actually hand over that data, and Reform UK also not wanting to take on that information either. But meanwhile, in Northamptonshire, looks like the council there have very much somewhat initially agreed to share this information with this unit, and now, well, we'll see what happens. But we still don't know, of course, what information and data they are particularly seeking, or once they have it, what are they going to do with it? How is it going to be stored, etc., etc. Trust me, we've just seen one of the biggest data leaks in UK history going on right now at the moment, with that data leak that we've happened during, of course, Boris Johnson's administration back in 2022. So these data leaks do have a habit of getting out and happening, and if it can happen with information as sensitive as that, and it could very well happen to this very sensitive financial information that this council is about to give to this Doge unit. So, future story probably right there in the future. So let's get on reading into this, because again, this has a lot of questions and implications for a ton of stuff going down the line. So as always, thank you very much to all those people who do, again, hit the like, share, and of course, if you are new, hit the subscribe button. And of course, don't forget to ring the bell as well, so you get notifications when we drop a new video. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page. There's the Buy Me Coffee link. There's the YouTube thank you button. And of course, there's a YouTube membership button down below as well. So thank you very much to everyone who does help and support the channel like that. So let us crack on then into this, because future story, I guarantee you now, in the future, about data leaks from these councils by this Doge unit. You can almost guarantee and see it coming from a mile off, because it happened in America. It will probably happen here as well. So over we go to the BBC reporting on this. Reform Council, of course, agrees plan to now share data with Savings Unit, as it's now being called. It's the Savings Unit, not Doge. It's the Savings Unit. Again, why is Zia Yusuf wearing that? Why? Anyway, Reform UK controlled councils in England is, of course, for the very first now to approve a proposal to share very sensitive financial information with the party's now cost-cutting unit. West Northamptonshire Council is exploring options now to share data requested by Reform UK's Department of Government Efficiency. The Doge is now being asked to provide records now of spending on IT systems, social care services, and hotels as housing asylum seekers. Gee, I wonder why they're requesting that information in particular, especially when we've just seen yet another riot egged on by far-right influencers. Gee, I wonder why they're asking for that information. The team now of unelected volunteers is led, of course, by former UK chairman Zia Youssef, and he's now aiming to enter into a very similar data sharing agreements with all the councils currently controlled by their party. The BBC has been told that Doge has submitted requests to access sensitive information to other councils, including those in Kent and Worcestershire. So far, of course, Doge is now trying to draw the attention to publicly available information about council spending, such as money spent on net zero initiatives and, of course, asylum seekers. Like I say, there's already so much information available publicly, right? Already so much information available publicly. Why now they want this other one? These far more, shall we say, sensitive, financial records. And remember, local councils are already audited publicly by outside bodies. You do not need another unit that is going to try and take this information and then use it now for, well, political gain. So the party, of course, insists it needs access to these council records that are not in the public to make sure that taxpayers are getting value for money. Again, we're just doing it because we've got to make sure. Meanwhile, of course, we've just talked about what's gone on in Scarborough. Reform UK gave their mayor a 600% pay increase. Yeah, value for money. Anyway, it said it's, of course, not very well kept secret at a council level that a lot of money is now wasted on procurement, a party source said. Again, why is, quote, money wasted on procurement? Again, we've been into this before, why that is. But opposition councillors have now, of course, questioned, of course, the need for a team outside of auditors that have now, of course, expressed concerns about how sensitive data would, of course, then be handled by Doge. Jonathan Harris, the Liberal Democrat group leader, said that he was very skeptical of Doge's claims, having argued that it should now be up to elected councillors to identify opportunities for savings money. They've already said that they're going to get fantastic data engineers in and, of course, use AI, said Harris. It all appears to be smoke and mirrors. Harris said that there's now a lot of very uncomfortable concerns about it because it is a PR exercise. It's just a promotional tool for reform, he said. And it is. It is absolutely just a promotional tool. This is nothing other than a tool to say, hey, look, Reform UK is doing something. Look at this Doge unit. Do stuff. That's all it is. It's just a PR exercise. And I think any opposition councillor should incredibly be entirely skeptical about all that. So the council so far has not shared any data with Doge, but the council said that arrangements now signed off on the cabinet on Wednesday now currently establish a framework under which information now may possibly be shared in the future, including strict legal protections and confidentiality safeguards. Really glad that they've put that in, because I can guarantee you now, those are probably going to come and be a problem for Reform UK. And Zia Youssef, since he's leading that, after all, he would be the one who would be, if there is a problem in the future, he will be called to the witness stand to say, about all this, what did you do? What did you do when you found out this? Again, future story. Possibly in the future for that. Mark Arnold, a Reform UK council leader, said that the proposed data sharing agreement should comply with the law. He said, I'm, of course, very confident that the team will be able to support the council in identifying further efficiencies to provide future savings, whilst now continuing to protect and deliver services for residents across North Westhamptonshire. Again, what are they going to be doing? What are these efficiency savings are going to be doing? Ultimately, those efficiency savings basically means cuts. What are they going to cut? And of course, what it'll come down to, where are these cuts going to go onto? That is what is going to happen. Where are those cuts going to fall? We still don't know. Doge is still taking its time. It'll be the next council meeting in Kent. Guarantee you now, won't be the next council meeting in Kent. It'll be the next one and the next one. It'll just go on for a while, because they'll be desperately trying to find savings where they've been told time and time again, councils are already stripped to the bone. If you cut any more, you are going to be starting to affect services. That is where they are. That is where councils have been for quite a while now. And yet, oh, we're going to come in and we're going to save all this money, all this waste that local councils do. It's not waste. They just don't understand how local councils work. So the council said that, of course, since its creation in 2021, it already saved around 150 million by working now, of course, more efficiently. And again, as he said, councils do this all the time. They do this all the time, looking how they can save money. So you don't need Doge because councils already do this. But finances now of this council and others across the country are, of course, under massive strain, facing many budgetary shortfalls because now of rising costs and demand now for their services. Again, as we've always said, two biggest things: rising cost, obviously being inflation, and of course, huge demand for services, especially in adult social care. Doge was, of course, launched back in June after Reform took control of 10 local authorities. Reform said that the team now of software engineers, data analysts, and forensic auditors would visit and analyze all these local authorities to find waste and inefficiencies in the budgets. Again, they're not. The unit is made up of about 15 volunteers. It's being run by Yusuf, who quit as party chairman before now returning to be head up the Doge unit just days later. Again, it's still a bit of a sore spot for Yusuf on that. The party has not, of course, yet revealed the names of any of the volunteers working with Yusuf on Doge. Gee, I wonder why. It is, of course, modelled on the cost-cutting department set up by Trump and, of course, previously led by Musk. Doge in the US has now been hampered by legal challenges in its efforts now to affect the personal financial data of Americans. Reform UK Council in Kent, which it currently controls, will, of course, be the first local authority audited by its Doge team. And again, they came out and said, oh, we're going to do this. Okay, well, what exactly are you going to cut? We don't know. We'll tell you the next council meeting. Anyway, officers, of course, effectively civil servants at the council, are now deciding how to respond to Doge's information request. The Kent County Council spokesperson said officers at the council are now working very closely and positively with the new administration to ensure that they do achieve their policy aims, whilst trying to do so with now the appropriate legal and governmental frameworks. This collaboration now with our newly elected members will, of course, ensure that any decisions are now taken lawfully, responsibly, and proportionately. And we will now be heading towards key decisions in due course through the government process. Basically, guys, we are doing our jobs. We are making sure that they are doing stuff they are asking to do is legal, because we aren't going to do it if it's not legal, that it's responsible and it's proportionate. Otherwise, we'll be probably sounding the whistle on that. When, of course, asked if there had been resistance to Doge's request for information, a Reform UK source said, I do not think there has been pushback as such. It is more, of course, being wary and making sure that everything is legal, the source said, because these councils are very, very aware what could happen if there is a data leak. And, of course, giving it to an outside source, a team of volunteers, is incredibly risky from a data breach point of view. So they know full well sooner or later there's going to be a data breach. It is because of that Doge unit. And the council, I think, should just go, well, they took it on. I will tell you now, if I was a council officer, again, knowing, because I used to sort of do stuff with GDPR, I would be saying, you know what? We're going to give you this information. If this information comes out through a data breach, we are not legally responsible. You've got to take responsibility for that, because we know we're compliant. Are you? Where's all this data being stored? Are you taking precautions that it's not going to be leaked? Guarantee you they're not. So if I were a council officer, I'd be like, it's all on you. If this gets leaked, it's all on you. But as always, thank you very much for watching. Let me know, of course, what you think about all this. As always, it's, typical Reform UK nonsense. The Doge unit so far has achieved nothing. It's done nothing. And he's so far saying, look at all this public information, which, again, it's public information. They've brought up nothing new, quite frankly, in some of these claims that they brought out. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.